New moon in Taurus on April 27th. Is this going to be a reprieve? Is it going to be lighter energy, Sabrina? Please say yes. My answer is kind of. Let me give you a really quick recap just so you can feel into what this weekend astrology and this new moon is really about that's happening on the 27th. So really quick, we are in a grand cross. It is very, very intense. This is wildly intense, this grand cross. This is the moon conjunct the sun, that's a new moon, squaring Pluto, squaring Mars, opposing Hekate. This is powerful, it is wild, it is intense. 2, it is a new moon. So that does mean a shift of the energy. That does mean, and it's a new moon in Taurus, so that does mean it's more grounded. It's a little more grounded, and it does mean it's a new chapter, it's a new beginning. It is a shift in energy. We might feel a bit of a reprieve. Isis, I love this. Isis is conjunct this new moon along with Priapus. These are some of the more esoteric magic, hidden aspects of self. I'm going to talk about what this new moon, should we choose to attune to what is available in the Egyptian mysteries, what is available in the Priapus mysteries in this new moon. It's a little more hidden, takes a little more to get there, but I love the fact that this new moon is opposing Hekate, right? Hekate makes the hidden much more accessible. Also being square to Pluto, this new moon, makes the hidden much more accessible. There are going to be some of us who we are really feeling like we're walking on both sides of the veil. You know, we're really having one foot in the shamanic, otherworldly realms, the unseen realms, and one foot, and I would very much encourage this as a practice if that feels right for you, having one foot in the unseen, and then one foot very much in the seen, the Taurus, the anchored in, the grounding in. There's a real magic here. So if there was one thing that I would pick to say is like the most kind of spiritually powerful, the richest, the juiciest territory to be in during this particular new moon, it would be this walking in both worlds simultaneously. And what are the practices, your unique practices that support you to do that? What are your meditative practices? What are your journal practices? And maybe I'll give us some, of course I'll give us some during this episode. I'm always giving us practices. So we'll do that, especially because this is such rich territory with Hekate being opposing the new moon and having Isis conjunct Priapus on the new moon. I mean, this is just like a whole line of magic, right? A line of magic. Or, let me just say this, or we could get stuck in like the quagmire of some lower level expressions of the masculine duking it out. Lower level expressions of, or I should say, outward expressions. Mars just moved into Leo. That's now an outward expression of the warrior. And with Pluto opposing him, it's a lot of wounded warrior. It's a lot of wounded masculine coming out. Let's be really, really honest about this. This is something we can all feel into, is really feeling into what is, and take out the word masculine, because for some of us, we can't identify with that. What is your core wound? Because I bet you there's some wounding that's been coming out over the last week. Like a belief system that comes from a place of woundedness, thought patterns that come from a place of woundedness, creating a reality for yourself that's actually coming from woundedness. And it's not necessarily what has to be experienced. I'm going to give you a couple examples of this. Don't worry, we're going to get into like real positive stuff too, but this is positive. Us being able to bring this up. This is part of what the Mars opposing Pluto is about. And this peaks the day before this new moon. So it is loud and it is alive, right? That exact opposition. This is the third one now. So it's been a theme. This has been getting kicked up collectively and also in ourselves personally, in getting to really work with it since November of last year, right? That was when the first time this happened. So things like I just keep thinking about this beautiful conversation that I had with a soul who was working on deep wounded masculine territory in herself. And this deep wounded masculine territory in herself was not worthiness, not worthy, never feeling worthy enough. It's never enough value, never feeling like a proven self, never feeling like have done enough, become enough, being enough, giving enough, doing enough. That's one of them, the unworthiness thing. Another one that I'm seeing very loudly in this territory and can be one of these like core wounds that's getting kicked up with the Pluto Mars is betrayal. Deep held beliefs or wounds around betrayal, and how does that flavor our perception of others? Also, how do these deep wounds of betrayal flavor how we protect ourselves or how we go into relationship or how we avoid relationship around this? This is such rich and wild territory. I'm going to give us two more and then I'm going to get into the astrology. And I'm sharing this because there's a way that we can see both ourselves and have more compassion for ourselves and possibly grow through this. I see and I'm witnessing in myself, and I'm also witnessing in those close to me, this real capacity to be transforming this stuff. That's Pluto. Wants to transform this in us, wants to transform these deep core wounds that have been operating unconsciously and unconsciously creating our reality. Unconscious, so deep terror of being, of betrayal, let's just say deep terror, deep fear of betrayal, that's putting off this vibration of, I must experience you betraying me. I must experience, right? Do you see how that then starts to co-create with reality around us? This is such rich territory. There is so much fruit here. If we can give ourselves the space to be in it, to become conscious to it, to bring some compassion for ourselves, and then not just for ourselves, but for others, right? Others. We get to help each other see these things. We get to love each other through these things. We get to, and I could share this little story around my partner and I just from this morning, we get to prove each other wrong. Like, I get to prove his betrayal wound wrong, his old belief system wrong. I get to love him through that and show a different reality than maybe the one that he's had every past life and every relationship of this life. And I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just giving you like something to feel into, right? And he gets to prove me wrong, right? In my, like, it's both of these core woundings coming up. And there's a real key here to see a layer deeper, like to see from these eyes. And this is see ourselves, not just our intimate partners, but our friends, our family, wherever we're kind of in these deep territories with others, is to see with technician eyes. So to not take it personal, it's not, you're not taking it personal. This is going to be really important during this new moon, is to not take things, it's very triggery. Everyone's stuff is coming up to a certain degree. And if we can hold some love and some compassion for it, for ourselves, for those around us, our loved ones, there is so much that can be transformed here. That's what Pluto wants to do. Transform it, wants to transform it, right? It's the phoenix rising. It's the death for the rebirth. It's such deep transformation that it's literally that old pattern dying so that a new, healthier, I keep seeing like tissue, like the old tissue has to die, and that's like the wound, so that new healthy tissue can be reborn in its place. Let me give you two more of these deep core wounds to feel into, and you could do some researching too if you're like, these don't really feel like my deep core wound. Do some researching. Just Google core wounds and see what's alive, right? We've all got, that old chestnut, I kind of like to refer to it as. But Excuse me. I'm dealing with a little bit of a complete recalibration of my physical body through a wild illness at the moment, but felt very important to be here with you and lights me up to be here with you. So this is an absolute honor to be here with you, no matter what is going on. Okay, so let me give you two of the other ones. One was the first, the worthy one. Then we went into betrayal. I'm going to bring in abandonment. Abandonment can be a really big one that's loud in the moment. Any of these can be really loud in the moment. I'm going to bring in a fourth one. These are like the big four that I've been hearing this week. The fourth one is wounded healer. And I want to bring some words to it because it can mean many different things to many different people. But it's this, the old ways of being a healer were sometimes a way of taking it on, right? You take on something, you process it through you in some way, you carry it for someone, and some of that's really changing. Some of that's like a core wound that's coming up of, wow, that is no longer true for me to always be bringing the light to the room, always be uplifting everybody, always be healing everybody, always be whatever it is. And I know that there's a lot in our community who are extraordinary light workers, and it's not about not being a light worker, but it's instead of being a light worker from a wounded place, right? Do you see that? Instead of being a light worker from a wounded place, it's being a light worker or of service in some way, right? Of service in whatever ways, not from wounded or wanting to control. Isn't this interesting? Wanting to control because you want to control the environment so that you feel good. I can totally relate to that, right? I hands up for that one, right? I can feel your pain, maybe even more than you can feel your pain because it's still very unconscious to you, but I'm feeling your pain. And so if I rise the whole vibration of the room, then I don't have to feel your pain. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Some of us are very, very called to do that. And that is the thing that serves the highest in those moments or certain moments. But I do see that there is this real recalibration happening for those of us in service in those ways. And it's coming from, it's shifting into a, instead of it coming from wounded place, it's now coming from whole healed place. If you can feel that in yourself, if this is one for you, this might not be a thing you're working on right now or that's being kicked up right now, but coming from a place of, let me just feel, how it's so wild that we just jumped into this particular tangent. We're supposed to be talking about astrology, but I do feel like this is the greatest theme that's coming up right now. I really, really feel that. And it's how conscious are we going to be to it? You know, how conscious are we going to be to it? Are we going to give lip service to it? Are we going to pretend like that's not what's going on? Are we going to just blame it on others? Are we going to take, it's like taking a level of responsibility. It's like taking a level of ownership. Empowerment. Pluto is all about empowerment. Pluto, right, square this new moon opposing Mars is about empowerment. And I want the empowerment of you. I am so devoted and dedicated to your empowerment. You know, Pluto is the sign of power. Deep, deep, deep power. Deep, deep power. Where do you esteem yourself from? Where do you get your power from? Are you getting your power from external sources? Are you getting your power from soul esteemed power? And that's Pluto. That's what Pluto's really working hard to do, is let me show you where you're disempowered. Let me show you where these old wounds or these old belief systems are holding you back, right? Where you're losing power, where you're not seeing, right? You're not seeing clearly because your glasses have a murky coloring over them. It's like a murky coloring from past experiences, a murky coloring from the unprocessed emotions still in there, murky coloring from the wounds, murky coloring from family patterns we've absorbed. This is far beyond just this life experience. It's family patterns we've absorbed. It's past life experiences. It's karma. It's karma. All week we had Saturn, Lord of Karma, dancing on the North Node. That is enormous. It's like bringing, and I talked about this in the week ahead astrology. If you want to go further into that, go for it. I won't do that in this conversation. But it's bringing it up on a silver platter here. This is your karma. What are you going to do with it? Do you want to put it back under the carpet? Do you want to pretend like that's not there? Or are you going to be courageous and brave and look at it and make choice to to change? It's choice to change. It's choice to change. It's stunning, really. Okay, wow. So let's start from Taurus. Let's go Taurus New Moon. Let's come back to some simplicity, some of the nice stuff. So a new moon is a new beginning, and with it being in Taurus, it really is like earthy. For me here, I'm in the Nevada mountains, and I can really feel spring. Really feel spring. That's like Taurus energy. It's earthy. It's really planting the seeds, new moon, planting the seeds. There's a springtime going on. And this is something we can really lean into, even if, we're working with some of these big triggers and or others around us in that big trigger territory, big wound territory coming up, healing, doing, stop, projecting, can't see it, whatever. Like in these, I was sharing with my partner this morning, I was like, holy moly, I am watching not all, but so many of my coping mechanisms come up. I lost my father on Friday, on Good Friday, like go dad. But as many of you have probably experienced with the loss of a parent, it is gut-wrenching and absolutely heart-shattering. And in that, to just watch the amount of ways that my system tries to protect itself like from more hurt or from the hurt. And just like those loyal soldiers. And I'm sharing this because I know this, of course, I'm in it, right? Of course. But I also have many close people in my life, and I'm watching, like, it's just alive and loud in this current energy that we're in. And so there's a practice that I have facilitated a few times on retreats, and it's really honoring these loyal soldiers, really honoring these defense mechanisms that we have, these coping mechanisms. And so instead of like beating them up, like sometimes a coping mechanism would be like anesthetizing, it just like numb out. Sometimes a coping mechanism is to create confusion and chaos, and we just create very confusion, just fog, like I don't know, like my brain will sometimes just like because it just doesn't want to go there. And they're all coping mechanisms. And this is a moment in time where we want to be aware of them. And something, I'll just offer this if this feels right for you. Sometimes it's a lot easier to love them and ask them to put down their bayonets and their swords and their guns than it is to beat them up, like instead of fighting fire with fire, it's like, here's a bucket of water, I remember one of the most powerful things I ever did with a very strong coping mechanism, a very strong protection around my heart, that it was time for it to go. It was time to lay down the sword. Alison Armstrong wrote this book. I can't remember what it's called. I think Keys to the Kingdom Queen. I don't know what it was called. If you know, drop a note in the comments, please. It would be beautiful to know that, or for everybody to know that. But she really talked about a feminine aspect of having to lay down the sword. The feminine, against the masculine, whether that be in ourselves, our relationships, our world, but the feminine really coming to a place of putting down the sword. And what do we need to do to get her to put down the sword? And that's kind of a way of talking about it with the coping mechanisms that might be coming up too. And it's a lot easier to get them to put down the sword when we bring a level of awareness and some compassion and some love for them. So one of the most powerful times I ever did this, and this was like putting down a sword around my heart, and it was like the thing I was most deeply yearning for. This could be coming up this moment too for this new moon. What are you most deeply yearning for? The thing that I was most deeply yearning for was the thing I was protecting myself the most against. I was most deeply yearning for my deep feminine heart to be so fully penetrated by the masculine consciousness. And I was also protecting my feminine heart from that ferociously and fiercely. And so it was just such a wild, beautiful moment in time. And the way that I was able to finally drop that guard was I had to write a letter to, like, I just kind of visualize these like loyal guards around my heart. For some of you, this might be coming up around sexuality during this new moon too. So that's something to feel into also. Reason being, Priapus conjunct Isis can really be bringing up this longing to be met sexually, this longing for more sacred expressions of our sexuality. Isis holds many, 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 many sacred sexual mysteries, right? What is it that sexual energy also opens the doors to, also leads to beyond just pleasure? And Priapus is bringing the juice. Priapus is the archetypal energy of masculine fertility. Priapus, in every statue of Priapus, he just has this enormous phallus. And so you can feel that's conjunct this new moon. So this enormous, and what is our relationship to phallus? You know, in some traditions, that is such a sacred symbol. That amount of masculine consciousness is incredibly sacred. The amount of masculine power when sacred, when sanctified, and being really honest of, do we crave that? I know my feminine loves and is so devoted to masculine, clean, clear power, whether that be expressed in a woman, in myself, in my man, in another man. There is this deep reverence. Now, I also had to work through a lot of fear around that. Fear, like all kinds of, stage 2 feminine, like distortion in it when I started to open up to more and more of the wilder aspects of the feminine, more and more of what was repressed in myself, like Lilith in stage 2. Oh my God, she just wants to like chop them off. She wants to like Loretta Bobbitt, right? That sort of style of stage 2 of just like, this power I've seen so distorted, this masculine power, I've not seen a clear, conscious, high level love expression of this. And so what I then do is I then diminish it, right? Or I puke my wounds on top of it. And to see that, oh my gosh, this comes right back to the beginning of what we were talking about. What are these deepest wounds coming up? And this territory is just, it's bringing up deep beliefs around masculine power. Do we believe that there is a level of masculine power that is clean, clear, divinely aligned, heart aligned, and beautifully expressed in the world? Where are we at with that? It's wild, isn't it? That's like this whole conglomeration right now is what is our deep, not false, not what we want it to be, but from like your deep core. If you were to go into your guts, and you were going to be really, really honest about what you think about masculine sexuality, about what you think about masculine power, about what you think about, right? And what your belief systems are around it, and what are your core wounds around it? What have you seen in your family system? What have you experienced in your own life? What is your own masculine level of power? What is the collective around you, right? This is a moment in time where it's coming up to the surface, and our choice is, are we going to work through the distortions? Are we going to work through the wounds? Are we going to work to release, to forgive, to let go? Are we going to work to see conscious, high level, masculine, empowered, right? Empowerment in the world, in ourselves, in our lovers, in our children, in our sons, in our daughters? Or this is such a moment of pushing, and I feel like we've got this real opportunity with it being a new moon, is drawing a line in the sand. Drawing a line in the sand. Read that Alison Armstrong book real quick, right? Real quick during this new moon. Draw a line in the sand. Put that sword down. Draw a line in the sand. I am going to be devoted. I'm going to keep looking for, I'm going to keep attuning to high level masculine consciousness in myself, in my friends, in my lover, in my family, in the world. I'm going to keep attuning to it. I'm going to keep attuning to it. I'm going to keep attuning to it. I'm going to keep loving it. I'm going to keep being devoted to it. This is one of the gifts of the feminine. This is Isis, right? So Isis conjunct the new moon. One of the gifts of the feminine is that she has this capacity to stare straight at that, and call that in and demand that. Demand that. But it doesn't come, let me feel, I'm not going to say that. Now I'm starting to get into like feminine mystery territory, and we won't even talk astrology then. My goodness. This is what happens when I have like sick brain and I'm already in an altered state, and I'm also in an altered state of just like the death portal being so open and like, wow. So thank you all for being here with me in this wild place. And also just thank you all for all of your beautiful notes and comments. And love and prayers for my family and for me and for my dad. I am receiving them wholeheartedly, and just want to say a lot of gratitude. Matters. It matters. So thank you all for that. Okay, let's come back to astrology now. Let's see what else we can explore around the astrology. I want to go into Hekate a bit more. I don't feel like we've given her enough airtime, or she's perfectly opposing this new moon. She's in perfect opposition there at 7 degrees, I believe. Let me see on my chart. I want to make sure I'm giving you the right 7 degrees. And she's in, it's Taurus is where the new moon's happening. Of course, we've already spoken about that, but perfectly opposite of that, 7 degrees, Hekate is in Scorpio. So Hekate in Scorpio is deeper depths. Like, she's already a medicine woman. That's already in the earth. She's already in the deeper depths, right? This is feminine. I also want to share with you that this aspect in this new moon can be opening up the doors to ancient primordial feminine territory with her being in Scorpio. It's like, yes, here's the archetypal energy of Hekate. Yes, this is the sacred lineage that she holds. Yes, this is what she initiates you into. Yes, this is the Shakti wisdom, right, of this particular goddess. Yes, and, right, Scorpio wants to take us deeper, right, deeper into deeper feminine mysteries. So deeper feminine mysteries. What is held beneath that layer of consciousness, right? Archetypes are like layers of consciousness. And then if you go beneath that layer of consciousness that Hekate can hold, she can only go so far. That's kind of the point of an archetype, is like they hold this particular set of gifts, this particular set of wisdoms, but there's a way that they can then open the door to what's underneath that. And that's very loud and very alive, especially with Isis on the new moon. Right, especially with Priapus opening up Isis mysteries and then Hekate being opposing her. That opens up this deeper depth of feminine mystery, feminine wisdom. There is a knowing in your bones. There is a knowing in every cell of your body what it is that the feminine holds, what it is that the ground of being is, how it exists, and how you dance in it, and how you work with it, and how you can enliven yourself with it, how you can heal yourself, how you can heal this world with it. So these doors are really, really open at the moment. I love that these doors are wide open. I'll share, I did a 6 Faces masterclass. It's free. I did this a little while ago, and in there you can go through the 6 faces of the feminine, and one of them will be the medicine woman in there. And I would dive into that. If you haven't done that 6 Faces masterclass, it's a really good thing to do over this new moon. And again, it's totally free, but we go into the medicine woman and the dark goddess. They're going to take you deeper, along with the mystic. Those are the 3. And there's also workshops on that you could do if you want like the proper activations around the 6 faces. But just that masterclass is going to open things and kind of attune us to this deeper feminine energy. We'll put a link. I'll even put it in the comment. Like, I'll write a little comment for us, so it's super easy to find. You'll see it's like the first pinned comment underneath with that link to the free masterclass. Okay, so I feel like that was really important to touch on. Let me see. There's a little bit of something. I'll share this here. There's a little something going on with conversation. Uranus and Mercury are doing a bit of a dance during this new moon. What does that mean? Kind of means watch what you say. So, right, we're in this like intensely healing, triggery territory of we're all really working on deep karmic stuff. Saturn on the North Node this last week. We are all working on deep karmic stuff. Everyone around you, you included, are working on deep karmic stuff. Now, how conscious that is to you is going to be very different to maybe how conscious that would be to me, to the next person, to your partner, to your friend, your mom, whatever, right? It's very, very different for all of us. But it's coming up. So we're all in it. We're all in this shadowy territory, this healing territory. Your karmic stuff is bubbling up to the surface as like psychic material to be worked with, karmic material to be worked with. Now, this is a week to employ all of your practices. I think flushing out toxins, very important. Moving energy a lot this week, even if you're not conscious of what's going on. I do this every single day. I do massive amounts of movement where I just move everything that's meant. There's this really beautiful practice that I love doing. I'll share it with you quick. It's the Ouroboros practice. And it's basically the snake eating its tail. Like you've seen that image, right? The snake like in a circle eating its tail. But what I do is I tap into the regenerative. So this is Pluto opposing Mars square to this new moon. Regenerative. I tap into the regenerative. And plus this is the year of the snake, right? So there's a lot of beautiful availability of the mysteries of the serpent, the regenerative mysteries of the serpent. Remember, the snake sheds its skin with ease and grace. And if we feel into that, so I feel into the Ouroboros, right? That circular snake eating its tail, but the regenerative nature, right? Regenerative. It's very, very regenerative. Now I let that mystery awaken, right? And then I let it spin, right? I spin it really, really, really fast, right? And it's just this regenerative, rejuvenating flushing out of the old. It flushes out the old and it brings in the new, right? And this is also really, really powerful because of what I was talking about, ancient primordial feminine in there. Typically, the way that she will show herself is serpent energy. So part of what the feminine is really good at, and these doors are really open to, is regenerative, is life force. We have no idea how to use life force in our bodies yet. We have no idea our regenerative healing capacities yet. And we have a capacity or a possibility or a potential to tap into more of that during this new moon, right? New moon, it's regenerative. So let's stop clinging. This is part of what this energy is asking us for in this new moon is, can we stop clinging to the old? Like, do you know how quickly this can move out? Do you know how quickly this can be healed? Do you know how quickly you can shift? If we can stop. And this is also part of what 2025 is pushing us into. We're moving out of a lot of water and earth, so slower energy, slower ways of doing things, into fire and air. Everything's moving into fire and air, right? I mean, this is the massive transformation year. I've done tons of podcasts on this. You can go back. There's one that we actually just did on talking about like AI and how AI, as within, so without, like what is that doing to our systems? If you haven't seen that one, it was a conversation with that Karen and I had. It's not for everybody, for sure. But if kind of like this new human, new earth, sort of sings to you as a topic, that's something that very much encourage you to just check out and see if it might be something that serves. It's a bit deep. That's why I'm like, this might not be for everybody. It's we really go for it. There's not much holding back. I mean, anyways, let's come back to this Ouroboros practice. So you can spin it very quickly, like through every chakra or every energy center of your body. You can spin it in one big circular motion. I was taught this by a Qigong master a very long time ago, but it wasn't working with Ouroboros in this way, but it was to move it all the way up your body, out your crown, and then back down into the earth. And then you move it up your root, up your central column, out your crown, back down into the earth. And you can do these very slow spinning cycles of your whole body. You can hold the different layers of your being in intention, like my mental body. Like just doing this now is moving a lot. Me just talk, because it's so trained in me. Like I kind of now just want to like go do the practice for myself to like clear out more of all of this that my body is releasing in a very physical way. But you could do it through the mental body, then you do it through the emotional body, then you do it through the energy body, and then you can do it through the physical body. And when you get to the physical body, you could do like my skeletal structure, my blood, you could do it through the different systems in the body, like your cardiovascular system, your skeletal structure. You could do it through different systems. So that's just something to just help flush out what's getting kicked up, help flush out what's getting kicked up. What's getting kicked up is far beyond the mind. This is not just the mental realm, because of where Pluto's placement is at, because Isis holds a deeper depth, and because Hekate, where she's at, it's like, and we're going to be processing stuff on a much deeper level. And we're going to be working through stuff on a much deeper level. And we want to go to the depths, right? I mean, Hekate and Scorpio, like, this is game over. Like, Pluto opposing Mars, that's game over, right? Like, and here, because this is where the deep transformation resides. This is where you change this, you release from here, it's going to change. It just ripples up then into the whole of your life. It ripples up then into your heart, into your mind, into all areas of your life, because we're at like if you think about, like people will always say, if you're weeding a garden, you can just take the lawnmower over the garden and just mow down the weeds along with the grass. You just mow the weeds over. But this is very specifically going to the weed with one of those, like, my mom always has these like long, skinny, like weed picker thing, it's like a metal pokey thing, like a pronged fork at the end. And like you dig into the earth and then you like lift up the weed by the root, you get the root. That's the territory we're in. And you can't see the root. Like you can't see the root until like you get the little prong thing in the dirt and you pull it out and you're like, whoa, that was a way big root for that tiny little weed. Holy moly, I've been carrying that around my whole life. Like, wow, I wonder how many things that sabotaged, like I wonder how many things that thwarted. Or do you see it? That's what's going on during this new moon. So last little thing about the Uranus Mercury is it can be real quick. Uranus and this Mercury aspect. Mercury is the mind, Mercury is thinking, and Mercury is a very good archetype to work with, by the way. We all would benefit from working in mercurial territory and opening up our mind to another degree. That's a great archetype to work with. We're working with Mercury in London. Yeah, for those of you who are joining me virtually in London or in London at the end of June, we'll work with Mercury. We'll do a real good, proper Mercury activation. This is the mind and opening up the dormant capacities in the mind. We're also working with Mary Magdalene. She's conjunct the sun along with Jupiter. That is grace. That is our capacity to open to receive blessings. Who knew that our lives could be luckier just by working with an archetype? That's Jupiter. Who knew, right, that we could actually call in more abundance and joy and just good luck charm type stuff just by activating that Jupiter aspect in ourselves? So we're going to work with him also in London. And then the final one that I felt into today is we're going to work with Pluto, because Pluto's opposing Mercury that weekend. So those four for sure. There's a few others. This is the easiest, most accessible way to do archetypes with me is this weekend in London. It's crazy. It's crazy. 14 hours of archetypes. And right now there's early bird special going on where you can do it virtually for under $300, right? For 14 hours of archetypal activations. And archetypal activations are everything we talk about in astrology, right? Everything we talk about in astrology. All of these archetypes we've talked about today, right? Isis, Priapus, they're all archetypes. They're all parts of self. They're all opening them up. Remember how at the beginning I was saying like the two archetypes that would be so beneficial, especially under this new moon, would be Mars for men and would be Hekate for women, right? I don't know if we'll work with those two in London, but we'll work with a variety of masculine and feminine archetypes. The four that I just talked about: Mercury opening up our minds, Jupiter opening up our capacity to receive grace, Mary Magdalene, this is heart, it's love, it's also feminine. And what is it that Mary Magdalene has for you uniquely, right? It's what is it that each of these have for you uniquely. And then Pluto, Lord of the underworld. He's always got something very life transforming for us. And so we'll work those four for sure in London. You can find tickets again. They're on early bird now. That will end May 15th. So if that sings to you, come and grab your either virtual ticket. You can journey from anywhere in the world. Replays available, of course, or join me in London. Like let's fucking hug it out in London. I won't have this cold by then. So I can actually hug you. All right. This Mercury-Uranus piece, be open to flashes of insight coming. Uranus will be giving you flashes of the new. Can also make us very quick tongue, like can be very quick to speak or quick to say something. And in this triggered state, we might want to just like sit, give it a second, really feel into, does this serve, right? Does this serve? Do I need to sit with this for another second? Is this coming from my wise self? Or is this coming from my wounded self or my reactive self? Is this coming from a place of love? Does this serve them, right? That can be very beneficial during this new moon in conversations or even in thoughts that we could get ourselves kind of stuck into a loop with. So, wow, big times. This is also, I'm doing weekend and week ahead astrology episodes. This is our weekend astrology episode. So our next episode will be the week ahead episode. Just want to be super clear on all of that. Don't forget the 6 Faces Masterclass is really a great thing to go into during this new moon. There's the London event. I'll just say that there's actually a activation, a free activation that you get. It's a $150 workshop you get like instant access to, and those 6 practices really support 2025. So really support also the energetics that we're into. That could be a really good new moon ritual too, should London be calling you. All right. Massive love to you all. It's just like these wild times that we are in. Can we love each other? Can we support each other? Can we hold ourselves? You know, can we be compassionate to ourselves while holding ourselves to the fire? You know, like that truth of, you know, what is it that you're here to do? What is it that you're here to express and experience? Is also a very soulful time with Saturn and Venus having just gone over the North Node. And so it is a very soulful time, and that can be super supportive during this new moon too, is, you know, what is my soul longing to experience here? What is it? Let me make this super simple. What is that lights you up? What is it that lights you up? This lights me up. This lights me up in this life. That can also help for us when we're making decisions around this moment in time. All right. Enough of me talking and talking and talking and talking. Have an amazing new moon, and I'll see you when I see you, where I see you, and how I see you.